You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at NerdToKnowMedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We're going live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't chase me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing money. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM and all those other wonderful places on the internet like our website and Spotify. I am Cian, and with me this week is Kev and Dara. How are you both doing this week?
Hello.
Hello. We're doing good.
Yes.
Doing good, Dara?
Yeah, doing well.
It's been for a few weeks. Kev has had no power. Dara's been updating the site. Before we get into the headlines, would you like to tell us all the spiffy new features you've got, Dara?
Yeah, basically, it's just kind of going through, giving titles to everything. I eventually want to get all the shows that aren't on Spotify. Sorry, that aren't on. Well, some of them aren't Spotify, but like on YouTube mainly. And I'm doing that through the actual feed itself. So if you're going onto the website, or NerdToKnowMedia.com, you can go over and find the YouTube links. That'll be updated soon. But also Spotify now has new titles, new artwork, all that kind of good stuff as well. So you'll be able to find it.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we've got a jam-packed episode this week because we've got Furiosa, I believe the two of you have seen. We've got Doctor Who, which I'm eager to defend, and a few other big headline things. But I just want to double check that. Dara, you saw Furiosa then, yeah?
Yeah.
And so did you, Kev?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, I'm assuming there'll be a bit of a consensus here. But before we actually even go into that, Dara, what were your expectations with this new film?
Oh, I had zero. I really went in completely blind. So I had no expectations.
And how about you, Kev?
Hold on. Let me prod at this. Dara, have you seen Fury Road?
No.
Oh!
See, okay. You went into this have you seen any Mad Max movie?
No.
Wild. That's actually, no. I'm genuinely surprised.
Yeah, no.
I have to just ask, is there any particular reason why? Or is it just something you never got around to?
I honestly, it wasn't, there was no like intention behind it. It just never did. It just never came up. Yeah. I played the game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Which, oddly, I don't know if you picked up on it. Oddly, like, not prescient, but like, more links than you'd expect between the game and this.
Yeah, no, actually, you know what? It's funny because, like, I thought that myself. I was like, this feels very much like the game. So, yeah, it was. That's my history of it. I have like zero exposure to it.
Absolutely wild. Okay,
that's like, but even through like pop culture osmosis, like kind of.
Oh yeah.
I know all about Fury Road and everything. Like
I know about it, all right. Yeah, and I was able to piece together enough of it, to be like, oh, that's your man from, the guy with the white hair. That's your man that was in the other one. So
Morton Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the thing about the Mad Max movies is they're like extremely loose canon. Like there's no between, like, this is probably the firmest like chronology there's ever been in this franchise. Like in conjunction with another movie. Like and even this one, you can easily watch this and Fury Road separate from each other and still get like a full movie. I'm fascinated to find out your perspective of this. Because I went into this extremely excited. Fury Road is probably one of my favorite movies of the past like decade.
I will have to say, I really like it. It's won me out. Like it's very silly and it's very dumb, right? But it's one of the most well-made films cinematically that I've seen in a very long time. Like it's just one of those movies where you're like, there's artistry behind this.
Well, of course, it's the director of Happy Feet.
Well,
and
look,
Babe 2, Pig in the City,
and Witches of Eastwick.
I've seen none of these movies. But what I'm saying is, it's just like from someone who went in completely cold, I had a really good time.
Are you telling me that like the only George Miller film you've seen is 3,000 Years of Longing?
Didn't see that either.
You did. We talked about it. The Arabian Night.
I actually watched.
Oh
I got that taped on the box. I rewatched that. Yeah.
Oh, that was a great
the
film.
genie.
Yeah, I really like that movie. Yeah.
I actually really didn't like it, but
no. But here's the thing. The thing about that movie, right? That movie also had a sense of artistry to it too. You know.
Like, like listen, I wasn't a fan of it because I thought it was kind of slow and plodding. George Miller is still a visionary director.
Like, you know what, right? And you know what? The thing, I will let you speak in a second, but I just have to say this real quick. Whether the movie was good or not, I don't really know because it was very weird. But I appreciate how weird it was. I know it was surprisingly long, but also like I didn't check my watch at all.
So that in and of itself is a miracle because I know you go into cinemas with your phone sometimes.
I go into cinema with my phone all the time and sit in the back where nobody can see me, so I can text people and play games. But at the same time,
podcast feed.
You know what? That's been my life for like 4 or 5 days. So that's not a joke.
I'm frankly stunned that you haven't recorded one of these from inside the cinema
yet. But no, I have to say, any movie that I've seen that he's made, he has this really, really good style about him. You know, where it's just like, yeah, it actually has it. The story might be dumb, the content might not be great, but it gives you like enough visual set pieces to really enjoy it. Like 3,000 Years of Longing. That's a weird movie. Some would say it's a bad movie. Kev, you're probably right, but it's a visually stunning movie. And in a climate where we're watching slop over and over again, even though I like the new Thor movie, the movie before it was awful. I think, what was going through my head when I was watching this, watching Chris Hemsworth actually act and be a bad guy, that's wild. I never thought he could even be a bad guy because I've never seen him in that kind of role before. And I'm like, I really want to see George Miller's take. I think it'll be unreal.
I was so excited when I found out Chris Hemsworth was going to be in this because I just like Mad Max. Like Miller is an Australian filmmaker. Mad Max, the first shot of this is zooming in on Australia.
Also, here's the thing: I didn't know Mad Max was Australian.
In the Simpsons episode,
I know. I didn't know.
I didn't know. And Bart.
I genuinely didn't know.
Yeah, like Mad Max. The Mad Max apocalypse is an extremely Australian apocalypse.
And you know what? It actually makes the movie so much better when you're like, oh god, this is Australian.
Yeah. I think there's a running gag that the whole Mad Max thing, it's post-apocalyptic. The world went through a barren warfare. Like there is like little to no life and water left on this planet. There's a running joke that is only Australia and the rest of the world's totally fine. I
rewatched Fury Road. I was getting a little Attack on Titan vibe of like, oh, they're gonna go across the endless desert. Maybe it is just Australia. The satellites seem fine.
The Mad Max Australia is full of roving BDSM gangs, led by men called Lord Humongous.
That's Road Warrior, isn't it? Yeah,
that's Road Warrior. But no, you go to across New Zealand, yeah, everything's fine.
Now that'd be a Mad Max movie. They all escape into New Zealand.
But but yeah, no, Furiosa absolutely blew me away, and I had high expectations going in. What I think struck me as somebody who knows and loves Fury Road is there's a certain tone difference to it. Like I won't say too much because Dara, I need you to watch Fury Road and get back to me because
Yeah, I really want to.
I
really want to.
I am excited for you to experience Fury Road for the first time.
Can we send the big TV?
What?
I feel like Mad Max Fury Road should not be watched on like a laptop.
Yeah.
Like for the first time.
So but yeah, like somebody who has watched Fury Road, Furiosa is a much slower movie. And that might surprise you, Dara, considering this movie was pretty fast-paced.
It was. No, it really was. It was. It's a crazy film.
Yeah. The thing I think what like a few different things struck me. What I really liked about it is that the movie, this one, for being a Mad Max high octane movie, it's extremely Shakespearean. Even to the point where there is 5 distinct title cards connoting the acts, and the entire premise of the movie is about a falling dynasty and revenge.
Well, actually, as somebody who hasn't seen the movie, like without giving the whole plot away, what's the kind of shape of this like?
It's basically it's an origin story for Furiosa, who is one of the main characters in Fury Road, who is who, to start using the jargon, is an imperator of the Citadel, led by Immortan Joe.
Right.
But like it's essentially Furiosa, who was taken from her homeland, a place of bounty, a place of plentiful in this barren apocalyptic wasteland, is taken and has to basically survive out among this like hellscape being passed from like tribe to tribe of motorcycle gangs, fueled simply by the sheer will of revenge to kill the man who took her.
Well, yeah, because she comes from the green place, doesn't she?
Yes, yeah, and she's basically taken. Ultimately, she's taken from there by Dementus, who's Chris Hemsworth.
What a name!
And so, the names are great. there is 2 characters. The sons of Immortan Joe are called Rectus and Scrotus. It's perfect. This movie is perfect.
Are these post-apocalyptic names or just Australian names?
It's probably just Australian. Which, fun fact, if Dara, you might remember, Scrotus Erectus is the bad guy in the Mad Max game.
Yes, this is true. That's the thing, because I went in completely cold and I was just kind of like, oh, this movie's very like the game. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah, the game did release the same, I think, either the same year or the year after Fury Road.
Yes, I do remember it being very, very recent, yeah.
So there was definitely a lot of that pulled from the same cloth.
I'm surprised that the game has so much of like the sort of film lore that is now only turned up in Furiosa. Was George Miller involved with the game, or?
Oh yeah, no, he was, but like it pulls just as much from Fury Road, and this just pulls from that. Like I think the like there might have been a mention of Fury Road of another son of Immortan Joe who also had a dumb name. And they probably just put him in this movie because right. we can't go wasting a man named Scrotus. But yeah, no, this movie absolutely knocked my socks off. I am definitely going to end up watching it about 5 more times. And it's made it's made me want to go.
How is Anna Taylor-Joy in the role? Like, since you're sort of inheriting it from Charlize Theron, like.
Great. I definitely say great. She carries it with a similar weight because it's very much in a matter of expression. In the kind of in the running theme of Mad Max protagonists being mostly silent, she has maybe 20 lines of the whole film. So it's all in her expression and her stonework, and both are stellar. If anything, the role stealer is Chris Hemsworth, because he just chews on every piece of scenery he's given.
Okay, I am definitely excited to see this now. So I'm assuming it's like a solid recommendation from both of you then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If you're like, I'll watch anything. So
the Dara seal of approval.
Like, yeah, I'll watch anything. So it's grand.
Well, let's put that to the test, because we're talking about
Not Doctor Who
next.
Not Doctor Who. Worst thing I've ever seen in my life. There's a different things. If Doctor Who was a movie that ended, absolutely.
It's a Doctor Who movie.
No. I mean, if this garbage fire was a movie, at least it's over and it's done, and I don't have to see it again. But the fact it's an ongoing TV show, that there's different things. I'll watch anything in the cinema. I just want to put out there.
So if the TV show gave you the hot dogs, you'd stick with it.
Yeah, or even just end it. You know, I think Doctor Who should be over.
Doctor Who is its thing is it doesn't end.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
I think it's time to change that a little bit. It's time to take it out
you
the
think
back
some
end.
radical new showrunner should come in and go, I've got an idea. Let's not.
I think they should take it out.
Retain their job.
I think they should figuratively take it behind the woodshed and figuratively unload 2 rounds in the back of its head. And
well, as someone who carries a screwdriver in their coat pocket, I do not want that to happen. But I will just give, for the benefit of sort of balance, I'll give a sort of a summary of where we're at with Doctor Who, which, just to contrast, I will immediately say I'll love, but I'll get into it now. So we're 4 episodes into the new Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson series, 5 if you include the Christmas episode. There's only 4 left now, maybe 3 at the time this goes out. And so far, we have had Space Babies, which is exactly what it says on the tin. It's the Doctor and Ruby trapped on a ship run by babies in space. We have the much-hyped Beatles episode with Jinx Monsoon as the embodiment of music. We've had a Stephen Moffat return one, which is all about the Doctor being stood on a landmine for the whole episode. So kind of stage play, it's all in one scene. And we've had 73 Yards, in which the Doctor is missing, and it's kind of a horror movie because the main character, Ruby, is being chased by a woman who always stands 73 yards away, and anyone who talks to her immediately gets aggressive at Ruby, and it spans her entire life. So we've had a really weird mix of stories so far. For comparison with Whittaker, by this point they'd only just agreed to travel in the TARDIS. So it's definitely sped up compared to previous Doctor Who seasons. I will say, just watching it as a family which has a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old in it, that I have watched Space Babies episode about 50 times, even though it's my least favorite, because Prim, my 5-year-old, loves it. My son absolutely loves the Beatles one. So the thing even though it's a bit rough in places, the thing I'm appreciating this far is that every episode has offered something different that different people have gravitated towards. Now, I will open the floodgates, and Dara, you can tell me everything that's wrong with it.
Everything. There's nothing right with it. It's the worst thing
There's
I've ever
nothing
seen.
right with it.
No.
There's nothing right with it.
No, it's terrible. But I mean, look, if people like it, great, but it's genuinely a crime against humanity.
Would you like to articulate this with words on this podcast?
It's just awful. I mean, I thought Star Wars was bad, but this thing.
Yeah, but what?
You see, now, Dara, you have a point there, because Star Wars is bad.
No, it is. No, it is. But it's just, oh my God, it's it's just, look, here's the thing. If people like it, great, and I'm happy for them, and you can continue to enjoy it, and I'm not going to be the one saying, oh, how dare you enjoy it.
You are literally that person.
No, not at all. I'm just saying, in my opinion, it's the worst thing ever put on screen. It's a crime against humanity.
Well, you
I
hated
mean,
the last era as well.
oh yeah, that was. But this what I'm saying to you. We haven't reached rock bottom yet. You know, like it's still going.
But what is it you don't like?
All of it.
I
It's
know, but like,
all of it. Like Doctor Who's supposed to be clever and witty and funny and have a good story and kind of off kilter, and this is just lame. So unfunny and lazy.
lazy.
Lazy,
There's
yeah.
nothing about that bloody Beatles episode that is lazy.
It really, really is. But look, and also I hate the Beatles, so I mean,
Well,
come on.
then, yes,
But
okay. I suppose there is probably nothing for you.
you know, like there is. That's what I'm saying to you. There's just some people might love it, and I think that's great, and I think it's something that the appeal of media is we can all find stuff that we enjoy. But I don't know. I'm just like, all right,
Well,
I
I
just
want to zone in on something which may be possibly what's putting you off, which is they're shifting Doctor Who from being sort of a sci-fi show to a more kind of fantasy magical realism show, which is why we've had an episode about goblins. We've had an episode about where they're fighting the embodiment of music. We've had a haunting episode. Even the hard sci-fi one, the Moffat one, involved kind of a priest essentially coming back from the dead. So they are kind of shifting it towards a different tone. Is that something that's bothering you? Because I know obviously you're kind of more in the sci-fi realm of things.
yeah, I just think it's completely lost its identity. I mean, like it doesn't. And again, like Doctor Who can change his identity. That's totally fine.
You beat me to it there, yes.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, it's just like I think if you're just a fan of this show, like a traditional fan of it, it's going to be so off-putting that there's going to be nothing left for you. You know what I mean? And I mean, look, if people like it and think it's great, I genuinely am happy for them. But for me, it's genuinely the worst thing I've ever seen.
See, you've hit the nail on the head there about what I actually like about this, which is I hate the words Doctor Who and traditional going together because like
But
anytime
this is the
Doctor Who has like panicked and tried to be sort of a more traditional version of itself, it like dies on its feet. And that's why I was worried when David Tennant was coming back. I thought we were heading for that thing.
see.
So I'm
I was
actually
I was
really relieved that it's
I,
gone in a completely new bonkers direction, you
see, I
know?
was I was I was the other way. I was like property like over the moon.
I see. So you and me wanted different things from it, like.
Yeah, I was over the moon because I was just like, oh, finally, thank God, we're gonna have something decent again.
Mm.
And we ended up with this thing, and it's just
Well, I mean, I just like the fact that my kids are really getting into it in a way that the Whittaker era never appealed to them. Like, like Prim, she found it amazing when the Doctor uses his like regeneration powers to bring a butterfly back to life in
mm.
the Space Babies episode. Like, I like that it's sort of it's got a lot of more continuity nods than I expected, I've got to say. But I like that it's repositioning itself as a brand new thing because presumably a Disney Plus audience might be tripping up at it for the first time. I don't know if the rest of Doctor Who's up there or not. But I don't know. I like how new it feels. I'm still waiting because the whole thing's hinging on a mystery. I'm still waiting to see if it'll come together in the end. But for now, I really like the feeling of turning on every new episode and just going, where is this going? What is this? And sort of, I don't know, because like once you're into a second season of a Doctor's like tenure, you sort of have a feel for it.
Mm.
So like it's nice to kind of get that sort of reckless abandon. And that's why I liked the Jinx Monsoon episode. I mean, Kev, we kind of covered this back when she was cast. Have you watched any of the Doctor Who? Like
No, because it's still extremely difficult to watch in this country for
yes.
no apparent
Yes.
reason.
Absolutely.
If I could turn on my TV and just watch Doctor Who, I would. It's not that simple.
Oh, I was at a Doctor Who Appreciation Society thing, the Capitol thing, and like the English people I talked to there were horrified that we didn't have it on Disney Plus or the iPlayer. Like, it's like I do not know how it is that we have fallen through the cracks when we are literally next door to Britain. Like It's just the latest in a long line of
This
intercontinental grievances.
this
Uh,
this 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 feels like sectarian violence, if I'm being honest.
I would call it a mercy.
How are you watching it, by the way, Dara?
I'm not willing to disclose that.
I like how you're stealing it for the purposes of hating it.
I never
No,
said
no,
I
no,
was.
no, no.
I never said that.
No, no,
I
no, no,
never
no.
said that.
For the purpose of this podcast, we are all traveling up to Derry once a week and watching it there.
Or just own a Virgin Media box.
There's also a thing called a VPN. That's a thing that exists that you can pay for. But what I'm saying is, it's not that I hate it. I just think it's garbage, right? I don't have any passion towards it. My passion towards Doctor Who died a very long time ago. Very long time ago. I just think it's one of the worst things ever put on television. And the thing about it is, I mean, that's my personal opinion. Like it is what it is. Some people might love it. I think, if that's great, then awesome. But for me, it's just, oh God, it's painful. It's just so bad. Like there's nothing to really hang on to. It's like the Doctor's boring as all hell. The companions are dry as dishwater. The stories are weird for the sake of weird. And I mean, what could happen is
Gat was boring. I mean, I can get people not liking him. Personally, I think he's very entertaining. But boring isn't a word I'd use.
Look, I mean, a dance sequence. It's like, listen, I love a dance sequence as much as the next person. I really like the dance sequence in Sabrina. Thought that was hilarious. Glee was fun. Blah blah blah. But at the same time, it's like there's a legitimate expectation been set up, and it's just not there. I mean, here's the thing: it's okay to not like certain aspects of certain doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like Whittaker.
I
really didn't like the outfella.
Capaldi.
Yeah, I hated him. He was there you go. I mean, come on, we fundamentally disagree.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just seems like as the show continues, it just gets more and more and more further away for something that I would actually enjoy. And that's what comes down to it.
I cannot get a beat on you, Dara, because it's holding up a flashcard that says Doctor Who and you say no. I hold up a flashcard that says Glee and you say yes.
Yeah, because hold on, I know what I'm expecting. It's Glee, right?
But that's what Doctor Who is. It's about
it's
being
not.
something unexpected every week.
No. There needs to be some kind of like soul to it and heart to it, and it's just there's nothing. It's just like what it seems like. It seems like they're intensely trying to antagonize people for no reason, and that's
I would get that more from the Whittaker era than from this one.
I get it from this one as well. It's like intentionally needling people for no reason, and it's just like, oh, okay, this is not fun. This is just mean spirited, and that's what I get from it. And
I am trying to be like measured here, but I really don't get the reference. Like what is it about, say, Space Babies that you think is deliberately needling you?
No, it's just a presentation of it. I mean, a massive dance sequence in the middle of Doctor Who. Come on, like.
Well, it's at the end.
It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter where it is. It's like it just seems like this is not. And here's the thing: what they could do is they could be like, "Well, this isn't the Doctor. This is a split, and this is his more creative, outgoing, overtly flamboyant side being, put into one side rather than just this is a Doctor." I think that's what they're setting up to do, where it's like they're not the same person. They're kind of like a completely different.
Well, that was the point of the split regeneration.
That's
if
what
you're
I'm saying
not
to
on
you.
for this era, you can just stop watching when David Tennant goes to his shed in the garden.
And see, I think if they do that, that's quite clever, because then it's like you have this completely new person who is trying to express themselves in a whole new way and be something completely different. And if they do that, awesome. I'd be
but it's
like,
what
okay.
they did.
It's not what they did, because
it is what they did. That's why they split him.
They should call himself Tim, not the Doctor.
Well, I mean, like I quite like that Gatwa is like a very emotionally open and sort of excited and enthusiastic Doctor. Loads of the Doctors, especially Matt Smith, who I know you love, had this running thing where they'd hide things from their companion and keep secrets and sort of like be duplicitous and all that. And I like that Gatwa's Doctor is like, here's what we do, here are the rules, here's where I'm never going. And it feels like he's sort of, I'm trying to find a word for it, but it just feels like he's very emotionally open and earnest, and that's a trait you don't always see in the Doctor. Even in Matt Smith, who's one of my favorites, you kind of get the sense that he's being flamboyant to hide a certain trait
That's
about himself. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
and that's yeah. There's like this kind of darkness, which is cool,
yeah,
which makes it all kind of work together. You're like, okay, he's being more outgoing because he's obviously there's some serious trauma there or something like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's kind of interesting, but it's like there's a reason for it.
Mm.
This guy is just terrible, like genuinely just the worst.
The
So
worst.
the worst. I
The
mean,
worst.
the worst. The worst.
I
The
I
worst.
mean, don't go all in on the hyperbole all at once.
No, I mean, like I thought Jodie was bad, but oh my God, this guy.
I quite like his take on it though. I like when he was standing up to the embodiment of music and all, and like standing up for the snot monster and stuff. Like, I mean, sure that landmine episode is entirely on him. Like,
Yeah,
it's kind
and
of I like
and
his
look,
energy.
look, as I said, I think if people liked it, I think that's wonderful. I'm very happy for them. I again think the show should be ended. And they should just take it out back, put 2 rounds in the back of its head, and just walk away.
Well, hypothetically, even though we will never probably see eye to eye on this, what version of Doctor Who would you like to watch?
Um, I mean, look, I don't think Shooty is the problem, really. It's more just what he's doing with it. So if he kind of just behaves like the Doctor, that would be cool, or has some kind of it's not how he's portraying it, it's why he's portraying it. There's no real like heart or soul behind him. He's just doing stuff. And I think Jodie was the same. She was playing the Doctor. She was playing the Doctor like a man who happens to be a woman, which is a very weird way to do it. But at least that kind of made sense. I think it's probably a bit too early to make a judgment call on Jodie, but I don't think the problem is him per se as a person. I think it's what he's been given. And it hasn't really clicked. I mean, look, there's a bunch of doctors that hasn't happened to. I mean, what's it? The Eighth Doctor, the movie Doctor, he
Mm.
was terrible too, and he got his redemption 25 years later. So that could probably happen to Shooty eventually.
I I don't fully agree. I mean, like I mean, I know that's just the tone of this. And I'm surprised Kev hasn't stopped us fighting more actually. But it's I invite new. Like, I mean, you say that Shooty should act more like the Doctor, and I think that Doctor Who dies when it tries to make what is expected. It's kind of what I said earlier. Like I know you and I didn't see eye to eye on the Chibnall era, but like that's the Chibnall era was trying to copy a lot of stuff from the Fifth Doctor's era, Peter
Hmm.
Davison's, in its companion structure, in its thing, in the fact the Doctor doesn't really solve the situation, all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
that era was trying to copy the second Doctor. So, like, I think Doctor Who struggles when it gets into the photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy type thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah,
don't
no,
think I
it
can
no,
compare
it,
Judy
it
Gatwa to any other Doctor, and I
it's
think
not
that's
that
great.
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not looking for him to be like, oh, I want him to be like David Tennant or
Okay.
whatever. It's more like he doesn't feel like he's the same man. If this feels like a completely different person. And that's
Okay, well,
what
that's where you and I, because like I think that the bi regeneration thing with David Tennant, I felt like that was a clean slate, and I
yeah,
think
no,
that the newness is the good thing.
yeah, and what I'm saying is that's grand, but
Mm.
that's the hill the show's going to die on because for a lot of people, it's too different isn't the right word.
Mm.
It just feels like it's a different show. Like what they should have done is, and I honestly, what would have made more sense that it's a spin-off because then you could have given him a clean slate to do whatever the hell he wanted to do. It's like, yeah, he's not really the Doctor. He split away. He's a different side of the Doctor, and then had someone who's more just,
It,
you
I
know,
mean, I get where you're getting at, but it kind of is though, because they're calling this season one.
exactly. It kind of
So,
is, but it kind of isn't. That's what I'm saying. Like they did it, but they did. That's why it's frustrating. They did it, but they didn't do it. You know what I mean? If they had been like, look, we have the Doctor Who show, and then we have Tim, and Tim's off doing his own adventures. That's what they should have done. But then people would be all upset either way. They put themselves in a no-win situation here. That's what I'm saying.
okay, well, my take on it, speaking as one, is if you try and go to appeal to Doctor Who fans, like I think it's a losing battle. And I think the Chibnall are trying to course correct into doing that by bringing the likes of Captain Jack and the Cybermen and the Weeping Angels and all that kind of stuff. Like I get where you're coming from, and yes, you're right. It is very different. And I can totally understand you not liking it because I would almost call it aggressively different.
That's
It's
it.
very front and center with it, but I respect the vibes. I like its mission ethos. I like that it's not like here's what the show is going to be, and then like 3 episodes in, it's something different. I like that it's like front and center. Here's what this is. Get on the bus or get off it. I have a lot of respect for that approach.
It's so aggressive. It's off-putting.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, like I really like it. My expectations have so far been raised or are higher than what I was expecting. But I do understand where you're coming from as well. Like,
Yeah, no, and look again, I don't really see a problem with it per se. I mean, if people like it, they're entitled to. I genuinely think that's a great thing that people can enjoy it. And I mean, like as far as from a representation point of view, it's a big thing for people as well. So I mean, it kind of very much is what it is in that sense. But at the same time, it's like I think they've made a bit of a boo-boo here where they should have been like, all right, we need to kind of establish what we're going for and what this new show means. I don't think they did that. I think they did it in such a way where it's like we're just gonna, enjoy it or don't enjoy it. And I think a lot of people are going to be like me and be like, okay, well, we're not enjoying this. And
well, I mean, like
that's probably what it is.
I think like obviously I know that you're coming to this earnestly, but I think the people you're talking about have already left.
Oh, okay, well,
coming back. So I think appealing to them is sort of a lost battle. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I can see that too. And if that's the way they are, that's you're not going to be able to win people like that. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I just kind of wish it was. I wish I could enjoy Doctor Who. Like that's what I was kind of hoping would happen.
Okay.
And it just didn't. It just never was able to, kind of find me again. I mean, look, I haven't completely left Shidigawa's Doctor Who, but it needs to meet me halfway, and with open dance numbers and wild, like genuinely wild stuff like that. I'm like, buddy, come on.
Well, that's just it. It's like the Goblin episode had a song and dance number as well. It's the tone. And I think they have established it in the fact that magic is the big thing in this era and not like hard sci-fi. But I do get if you could find off-putting. I mean, like, I suspect, Kev, to bring you in here, we are getting a Bridgerton episode, which is kind of co-written by, I think it's Kate Herron, who
that's going to lose me. That's going to lose me even more.
I believe you're a Bridgerton fan, weren't you? Like,
now hold on a second. Doctor Who's supposed to be a family show.
Okay, a sense of sensibility episode, we'll say.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds great. I'd totally watch this show if I could. Show I haven't watched it is Bridgerton. Y'all scoping that new season of Bridgerton yet?
No, I haven't. No, I actually really like the first season. I liked it so much I'm scared in case the next season isn't good.
Season 2 is far better.
Really?
Season 2 whips ass.
Okay.
Because it is all angst and long romance. It's great. And now we're on season 3, which is focusing on Nicola Coughlin's character, Penelope. And now we've only got half of it. But it is resolving a lot of long-standing sort of tension between characters. And I think it's great. I love the kind of the ensemble cast vibe of Bridgerton. The costuming is wonderful, and it is a steamy romance full of very pretty people. I'm quite a fan.
See, I assumed that because we sold the books back in the shop, I thought Bridgerton was going to be like this anthology thing where there'd be like a new cast every series. Is that not the case?
No, actually, the books are all about the same family. The books are just more focused on one couple at a time.
Yeah, because I remember there was a different couple on each book. Yeah.
Yeah. the TV show kind of zooms out and focuses on the broader. The Bridgertons are the family,
Right.
and focus on the Bridgerton family as a whole.
Mm.
So while the first season is fundamentally about Daphne and the Duke of Hastings, you get seed work for Anthony and his duties as being Viscount, and trying to find a match through that, and then getting the kind of the starting tensions between Penelope and Colin. Dara, is any of this making noise to you?
I don't know what these things are.
Somebody very wittily described this as Pride and Prejudice. So, and
like
that's exactly
you
what
pointed out that like the music is all like pop songs played on like string quartets and all that. Like, thank you.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. Like it's Georgian, but it's also incredibly contemporary.
Yes, yes.
One of the climactic scenes in the last one was overdubbed by a Pitbull cello song.
Oh my god!
And it's
Did someone get out
excellent.
Mr. Worldwide?
If only.
Oh my god! Well,
yeah.
if this doesn't draw you Doctor Who, then I don't know what will, because Nicola Coughlin's going to be in the Christmas episode.
Again, it's not for a lack of wanting.
I'll send over our Virgin Media box golden taped on it.
That's it. I live in the sticks and don't have actual television. I don't have the cable, nor do I want it, frankly.
He lives on an island in one of those stone huts, like in Skellig.
Yes, but I do have a Chromecast. Just no SCART lead.
Oh my goodness. But yes, okay, you have piqued my interest. I want to see this now.
Stellar. I think that second part comes out in like June, so you can well catch up by then. But that also means that I got to watch X-Men 97. Yes.
Have you seen this, Dara?
No.
Let us take you on a journey.
I actually didn't know what to expect. I really did not know a lot about I only watched like a couple of episodes of the old like 90s X-Men cartoon back then. So what I wasn't expecting in this was what seems like just picking straight up from where that left off.
Yeah,
so what it is,
like I didn't grow up with the X-Men cartoon. My wife did, but like I was surprised, kind of like it's not exactly the same. Like the episodes are longer, and I would argue perhaps darker. But like it is still quite faithful to the tone, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I think it's less adapting, because I think like those X-Men cartoons adapted the comics. As far as I know. Dara, did you watch the old 90s X-Men show?
I did.
Would you kind of say they were just kind of adaptations of various issues of the comics?
Yeah, give or take.
Give or take.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you said that, Dara, because like I watched the first season recently just to kind of get a sense of like the tone. And the thing I found was with the original cartoon show, maybe it changed in later seasons, but in that first season, it was sort of doing the broad strokes, like, you know, Magneto escapes from jail, they are in court, Jubilee runs with Sentinels, that kind of stuff. With this X-Men 97, I felt like it was doing like the big hits of like 80s and 90s X-Men. You've got your Madeline Pryors, you've got your Genoshas, you've got your Mr. Sinisters, you've got your Professor X getting married to aliens. It felt like because like I used to get a figurine collection magazine where they just like show you the cover of one of the big events that happened in X-Men. And it felt like all the big iconic X-Men moments were sort of organically crammed into X-Men 97. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when I say all these things, Dara, you know, these are like the big, like, except for Dark Phoenix not being there, it feels like all the big things are kind of in that stretch. You know what I mean? Like, Dara.
Absolutely.
But sorry, to get back to you, Kev. Like, sorry.
Well, no, that's really interesting because I don't actually know a lot about like the X-Men comics.
Okay.
So I was as I was watching it, having a very basic knowledge of X-Men, I thought that this was expanding on ideas that like the comics of that show never really got to experience. So I didn't know Genosha was actually already a thing that happened.
Well, that's the thing. I was surprised that the X-Men cartoon hadn't covered these things already. It's like if you come into season 6 of like a Spider-Man show and they haven't done Venom or the Green Goblin, like, you know. But as someone who like didn't really grow up with the X-Men cartoon, I thought it was amazing. I thought it struck that nice balance of feeling like the traditional show, but it was also kind of dynamic and compelling and quite challenging in its own right. All the stuff that happens with Storm is really harrowing for what is essentially a show that is suitable for kids, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I think from minute one, I mean, from the jump, they say, yeah, they tell you Charles Xavier is dead. So like that's tone set, and like every one of them have like a rough go of it from there in some way or another. But on top of that, you have like with fast pacing, like there's like 4 or 5 big events happening per episode, and it's
like you heard the list I rattled off to you, Dara. That's a lot.
But it does it by, as you say, by being very dynamic with just stellar animation. That like I again having like the extent of my X-Men knowledge kind of sits with like the movies.
Yeah,
and I read Dark Phoenix once, and that's it.
Dark Phoenix is long. I'm impressed with that.
I might have like read an abridged version at some point.
But yeah, actually, you've hit on something there, which is because like the X-Men movies, like I'm not sure whether they've stood the test of time necessarily, but they adapted the stories fairly faithfully and were quite kind of dour as a result. I think this X-Men 97 finds a way to give all of the terrifying stuff about X-Men the weight it needs, but it never feels like an oppressive watch. It's always kind of fun and exciting alongside all that stuff. Do you know what I mean, Kev?
Oh yeah, because it's like the characters are going through conflict and challenging conflict, but they're the X-Men and they're doing it while being incredibly rad. Like I think the moment that I stopped and was like, oh, this I can mess with this, was realizing it was like, oh, Cyclops doesn't suck.
Well, that's actually just it, because I was reading up again the figurine magazine. I was reading an interview with it's Chris Claremont is the writer from the 70s. I'm going to fact check that. Is that right, Dara? I'm sure it's right.
From the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, Chris Claremont is kind of the main X-Men guy, isn't he?
Yeah, him and Jim Lee would be the two ones that you would say, yeah.
And Jim Lee, thank you. Yeah. And anyway, those two were interviewed about Cyclops, and what he said was that basically with Cyclops' character in the comics, you have the Madeline Pryor arc, which, I mean, I'm not going to spoil the show necessarily, but basically Jean Grey dies, Cyclops marries this other redheaded woman.
Spoilers, Keen.
Well, I'm giving away 50-year-old
spoilers.
You've had your chance. And then I actually read this recently, the X Factor run, which is like, you know, that's a name that's aged well.
That's really good. Hold on. Can I just say that was not only a pretty good run, a good team, but it was also a tag team in WWE, a awful, terrible tag team in WWE.
Good. There are no good things called X Factor. Lovely. That is consistent.
Check out our Everything is Wrestling's episode.
Yes.
Literally.
We do our Everything is Doctor Who. That'll be fun.
Oh, I can't wait for that. Actually, you know what? You let the cat out of the bag.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me finish this point before we do that.
Go on.
All I was going to say is Chris Claremont said that in that run, Cyclops had a kid with this other woman called Madeline, and then when Jean Grey comes back from the dead, he basically, like, he doesn't cheat on her, but he runs off to be with Jean, and then by the time he gets his head straight, she's gone and never comes back. And that's a moment that the character never really becomes from. He never recovers the audience after that. And they handled that arc very quickly in the space of X-Men 97, and in a way that makes Cyclops more interesting and not less. I mean, having not done that arc, Kev, you know how they managed the double Jean situation quite fluidly, don't they?
I think so. I think again, due to the pacing of having to get through so many kind of different events in such a short amount of time, I thought there was elements of the pacing that I thought were too fast. I think, and that's one of them. I think that could have done with a bit more breathing room, but even then, like, it was still coherent enough for me to be like, oh, this is absolutely buck wild, but I get it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about the pacing, because I sat down to watch this with the family, and like and my wife walked out of the room for like 10 minutes, and like she came back and said, "What have I missed?" I just went, "Too much. You've missed too much." I watched episode 5 without her, and I was like, "Oh my God, of all the episodes to watch on my own and have to explain, like, this is
was that Genosha?
That's Genosha. Yes.
Yeah.
Just everything happens all at once.
And I think the one character that really, really benefits from this now is Magneto.
Yes, he is the winner of the series. Yes,
he is the winner of this series, and it's such a fascinating arc they bring him on, because I'm sure it's an arc people have seen reading the comics, but knowing Magneto as I know him from, again, mostly the movies, mostly McKellen, who is still still portraying him as very sympathetic. Having him in this, take Charles's side, experience Charles's side, and still be forced to play the Magneto and to play back to the mutants firsthand. It's so good. It's so good just seeing him try.
Yeah, and that is the great trick about X-Men 97, is it does kind of make you kind of want to join the Brotherhood of Mutants by the end of it. It's very harrowing, and it's very nuanced at the same time. It's like, I love the sequence where he lifts up, I can't remember, is it Congress or the UN he lifts into the sky?
Oh, his Senate hearing, yeah.
Yeah, Senate, that was it. Because, like, the thing with Magneto is he can kind of get a bit repetitive. He can be like, oh, he's good now, he's good. Oh, he's back. Oh, he's good. He's like, kind of flip-flops. But I feel like they handled that balance really well here. And I like the love triangle as well. I never thought that love triangle would work. But that is also true to the comics, except it's also not that fast.
Yeah. It's also, just as a side note, it's very funny. In like my TTRPG group at the moment, I'm playing a character who has magnetism powers, who has pyrokinesis. So watching this, I'm like, oh,
taking notes.
Worldwide EMP from the North Pole, you say? Very interesting.
But yeah, I think it's fair to say you'd recommend this cartoon then, Kev.
Again, as somebody who has very limited knowledge, like if you watch the Hugh Jackman X-Men movies, I think you'll still get a lot out of this.
Yes.
I think if you have no experience with the X-Men, this series would be gibberish.
Yeah, I'm not like a diehard like X-Men 90s cartoon fan, but I've read a decent serving of the comics, and Dara might know more than me, but I know enough to know that they were taking all the big X-Men moments, making them flow kind of simultaneously, and improving on quite a lot of them. So I'd be very excited to see what another season of this would be like. But Dara, I believe there was something you wanted to chat about just there. I interrupted you. Was there? You said you wanted to talk about a Doctor Who thing, and then I want to talk about Chris Claremont.
Oh, I don't remember.
No, I believe Dara was going to tease that we've got
Doctor Who. Oh, yes. Yes.
Things in the pipeline.
Thank you. Yes. So we have a very, very successful Literally Everything is Wrestling panel. And what I intend to do is I intend to take that we intend to take that panel idea, this time helmed by Keane, and do a Literally Everything is Doctor Who panel. So I'm going to send it off to DCC, and hopefully we'll get it, because that'd be fun.
Touch wood, yeah.
But also, I mean, there's so many panels up on the Spotify and soon YouTube that everybody should go over and check out NerdToKnowMedia.com and justify the days of work that I did. Literally days. This isn't like a haha funny joke. No, this took me days in the salt mines to do this. So please, everybody.
Everybody in the comments give Dara a bull bus.
I need everyone to go over and tell random people on the street to listen to the podcast. That's what I need everyone to do.
We are encouraging you to get out there and harass passers-by about our podcast.
In a nice way.
Or you could just like listen to it and share it. But you do you.
Yeah, just be like, hey, check out this podcast on a bus, in church, in the bathroom of like wherever you are. Like, just be like, hey, I see you have a nerd shirt. I also like nerd things.
And the most effective way to do that is to grab them by the scruff of the neck and shake them a bunch.
We do not condone Kev's behavior, but it is his behavior.
But it is effective marketing.
What's it? Superliminal? There's subliminal, liminal, and superliminal. Hey, join the Navy.
You're just gonna yell out a window. Hey, you, Nerd to Know Media.
What? Yeah, you heard me. You heard me. Check out the podcast.
But yes, so how much research do I have to do for this then? Because I'm not sure. How do we quantify if I know as much about Doctor Who if you know about wrestling though? That's the thing.
I don't know. I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, like for anyone that doesn't know, we don't like screen questions before. We just kind of ask them. So I think that's something we're gonna find out, on the fly, Kane.
Well, speaking as on the fly, I believe we're at time. So Dara, is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
Yes, huge thank you to the folks over at Tech Summit Ireland. They're amazing. They look after us really, really well. I have tons of content from today that will be going up on the feed and probably like a separate bonus show. But if you've never been to the Tech Summit in Dublin, it's once a year. You get to meet loads of different people. It's a networking event mainly, but there's loads of really cool sellers. There's cool talks, and there's cool panels. It's basically like a Comic-Con for like IT professionals. And huge thanks to the folks over there because they always look after Nerd to Know Media really, really well. So thank you so much for that.
Fantastic. And Kev, from your electricity-less shack somewhere in the wastelands, is there anything you'd like to say?
Don't steal my guzzling. My hot rod will witness me through Valhalla. Watch Mad Max. Dara, watch Mad Max.
That's my router. I
am so shocked that Kev is like a hardcore Mad Max fan. I did not track this at all.
I don't know how you didn't think this.
Does Junkie XL come back to do the music on Furiosa?
Huh? Sorry?
The composer.
What about him?
Oh, I don't know.
That was one of the winning ingredients of the Fury Road for me.
The one thing, actually, like the Furiosa soundtrack is far more subdued.
Okay.
It pops from like time to time, but it's not the constant racing like energy Fury Road has.
Well, that makes sense for the movie, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I couldn't tell you. But yeah, no, I don't have a shout out except for shouting at Dara, watch Mad Max.
I promise I will. I'm also encouraged enough to go and play the game and finish it. So here's the thing. Like, if people didn't like that movie, I totally can see why, but damn, that universe it's so fun. I mean, it's horrific. Yeah. It really is. But it's also fun to watch. So that's
it wouldn't be fun to live in.
No, it would be quite horrendous to live in. But fun to watch. And at the end of the day, isn't that the real truth?
Yeah. The real Mad Max is the friends we made along the way.
Exactly, Kane. Exactly.
Which is basically how Beyond Thunderdome ends. So,
There you go.
So, on that note, we'll be back next week with probably more Doctor Who arguing, for which I apologize. Until then, I've been Cian.
I've been there.
I've been Kev.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
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 Well, once I find the stop recording button. There we go.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.